Fortunately, I am going nuts just with how slow it's going, but that's okay. So Santiago, remember, he writes all of the show notes and a lot of my website, etc., which we do have to collaborate on updating parts of my website, but we'll do that another day. We don't need to worry about that anytime soon, but there are some updates that I want to add. So when you click on Magic for the Revolution, if you are part of the $10 tier, or if you want to purchase this particular section on your own, you will see a beautiful image that comes up of a Lua Nova spell book. And it says Lua Nova on the front, and there's candles, there's crystals, there's the moon. What a beautiful image. Okay. And these spells are not just any types of spells. Okay. Josie introduces Magic for the Revolution, featuring raw, powerful spells to combat injustice. Speak or write them as is. Okay. So those are Santiago's words. And he wanted to let you know that these are not just any kind of spells, because they are not. We are essentially protecting ourselves energetically. We are protecting our loved ones. We are calling on ancestors, and we are hexing certain types of people. The hex, which is called the Reckoning, is actually the very first spell that you're going to see. You do not need anything to do these spells. The only thing that I would advise you to do is to say them out loud. I will not be sharing these spells here. Okay. Not at all. Not even a portion of them, because that is how sacred they are. And when it comes to me writing spells, it might take me hours, days, months, but when they are done, all of these are short except for one of them. When I put them together for myself or for you, they are very much so with a strong intention. So much so that is why I'm not sharing them here. Okay. I don't want just anybody to have access to them. All right. So if you can get them for the $4, I advise that. If you are on Apple and you don't mind paying the $6, you can do that. But remember, if you are part of the $10 tier on Patreon, you already have access to these. You don't have to pay anything additional to get access to these spells. There will be more added. To the $5 tier, I will be adding different types of spells. They're not going to be these, but just look for that in the future. I have to write them out, so it is quite a bit of work for me. And, I don't mind doing the work. I might even share some of the spells that I was planning to put into my book. That I think that likely would make more sense, because all of those spells are handwritten. It means I have to type all of them back out. So I'm going to be honest with you. That's why I'm stalling for the $5 tier. But I'm going to go over this one more time. If you want access to these spells that are about your spiritual protection, which is extremely important right now, I'm especially speaking to the Latino community, then remember that these spells are their own collection. So you do not have to be part of the $5 or $10 tier to access them. If you want to purchase them, they are either $4 if you are not purchasing from Apple, or $6 if you are purchasing from the Apple store. Okay. If you want to have access to these spells and you don't want to go through Apple, or you are not sure how else to access them, if you are part of the $10 Patreon tier, you already have access to these spells. Okay. And again, one is about hexing a particular type of people. That's all I'm going to say about that. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? It is a very strong hex. That's why I'm not sharing any of it. The rest of the spells are about protection, calling on your ancestors, calling on your spirit guides. And I am going to be adding another one for calling on Santísima, la Santa Muerte. Okay. That is the next one that I'm going to be adding. I don't know if it'll be today or just sometime this week, but because she is my spiritual mother, I definitely want to add that for those of you who also work with Santísima. Okay. So that is enough of that. I have other updates that I did not write down. So I guess I'm just expected with my ADHD to remember everything that I needed to update you on. Keep in mind that anytime that I leave something out, it's not on purpose. It is likely because I didn't write it down, or it's not in my notes here on the docket that I have. And that is not the fault of my team. That is my fault, because sometimes I forget to tell them things. For instance, I still need to go back as of the time of this recording and ask Santiago to add in affirmations from last week's episode, because I totally forgot to give him those affirmations. So, and he did ask me for them today twice. So my apologies, Santiago, and to the Lua Nova team. Sometimes I forget things. Okay. I know that I have other updates for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over last week's episode really quick. I'm going to look at that docket to see what I might have left out. One moment. Okay. Let me see. Nope, that's about today. Okay, let me see. No, that is not it either. My goodness. Well, I'll tell you what, because I cannot remember what else I wanted to update you on. We are just going to go ahead and get into today's lesson. And if I remember, I will be adding that into this episode at the end of the lesson. Okay. So let's talk about the third eye chakra. All of the chakras that I go over, they have how you would say them in their native language, and I don't want to screw it up. So that is why you hear me call them by their name in English. Okay. Because, for instance, the third eye chakra is also referred to as the Ajna chakra. And I feel like, oh my God, if I'm not saying that correctly, then I don't even want to bother because I don't want to be disrespectful to somebody else's culture. So just know that every chakra has a different name in its native language. Okay. The third eye chakra is actually the sixth chakra in the traditional 7. Okay. So remember, I am only going to be doing an overview of the 7 primary chakras, but there are many more. Okay. When you look at the chart of the chakras, remember, you read it from the bottom up, not the other way around. You can, but just so you know, it starts from the roots up to the crown. And I wanted to focus today on the 6th chakra, the third eye chakra, because this is actually one that is healed for me. This is not an area that I'm struggling with whatsoever. When you are healing through grief, your chakras will get out of alignment. There is no and if or buts about that. And healing does look different for all of us. I need you to understand something. When I'm recording, don't think that I'm just fine. I'm not fine. I'm not okay. And I don't know when I'll be okay. But one thing I'm going to keep doing is fighting through it, because that's actually the biggest lesson I ever learned from Hoshi. Because when I got Hoshi, I mentioned that I was going through a really tough time, and that's an understatement. So Hoshi needed me. He needed me to get up. He needed me to take care of him. And although I struggle with the fact that I don't think I did the best job, I will never be able to thank him enough for getting me up every day. And now, when I struggle to get up every day because I know that it won't be with Hoshi, he is still what keeps me going. And I hate that I feel like this, and that I can't seem to get through anything without feeling like this at least once a day. All right. So one thing that I can tell that you all liked from the last episode was when I did EFT tapping with you. So that is something that we are going to do again together. And if you hear me typing, it is because I am bringing up the EFT tapping notes here, because I want to make sure this time that there's a chart for those of you who are new to EFT tapping that you can go along with. This chart will be on Patreon. So there will now be a section of Patreon that is available to both tiers where you can see physical notes of things that maybe I have mentioned on the show or that I just think that you might benefit from. So there's going to be one of the chakras and there's going to be one for EFT tapping. So if you would like to tap with me, I am going to do that now. And last time I made it about Hoshi, but today we are going to make it about generally healing. Okay. So remember that when you are referring to healing your third eye chakra, this is about your intuition. This is about your imagination and spiritual insights. So that is what I'm going to be focusing on during this EFT tapping. All right.